Welcome to Childhood and the Enneagram, Stories that Shape Us. I'm Susan Parker Jones, licensed therapist, Enneagram practitioner, and author of The Wholehearted Child. In this podcast, we explore how our earliest childhood experiences shape the way we see ourselves, others, and the world, and how the harmony model of the Enneagram can help us heal, grow, and guide the next generation with greater clarity and compassion. Whether you're a parent, educator, therapist, or someone simply ready to rewrite your own childhood story, you're in the right place. Each week, we'll uncover the patterns that influence our emotional world and learn how small shifts in awareness can create lasting transformation, both in our own lives and in the lives of the children we care for and love. So grab your coffee, hit subscribe, and join me, because the stories we carry don't have to define us. We have the power to heal, to grow, and to impact the next generation. Hey there, and welcome back. I'm Susan, and I'm so glad you're here. If you're listening, it means you care deeply about the kids in your life. Whether you're a parent, teacher, therapist, or coach, you want to help them grow up feeling secure, confident, and connected. But here's something we don't always think about. It's not just what we teach children that matters. It's how we show up for them. Kids learn more from our presence, our responses, and the way we handle our own emotions than from anything else we directly teach them. Last time we introduced the inner childhood narrative, ICN, the unconscious story written in childhood that shapes how we see ourselves and the world. If you haven't heard that episode yet, I encourage you to pause this and check it out first, because it lays the groundwork for everything we're going to discuss. Today we're diving into how to recognize the patterns of your own ICN, inner childhood narrative, how it shows up in your reactions, your relationships, and even your parenting. So settle in, take a deep breath, and let's begin. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever reacted to something in a way that felt automatic, almost like you were on autopilot? Maybe you felt a deep pang of rejection when a friend canceled plans. Or maybe your child's big emotion sparked frustration in you and you snapped, only to feel guilty afterwards. These automatic reactions aren't random, and they happen to all of us. They come from deeply integrated patterns in our inner childhood narratives. Our ICN is like a filter. It influences how we interpret situations, how we respond to emotions, both our own and others, and even how we show up in relationships. Recognizing these patterns is the first step to reclaiming our childhood and rewriting the messages that no longer serve us. The ICN starts forming early. As children, we look to our caregivers to answer these three unspoken questions. Am I safe? Am I loved? And can I count on others? When these questions are answered with security and warmth, we internalize a sense of trust and belonging. But when there are disruptions through neglect, inconsistency, or trauma, our ICN adapts to protect us. For example, a child who feels unseen might develop a self-sufficiency pattern, believing they can only rely on themselves. A child raised in a volatile home might become hypervigilant, always scanning for signs of danger. A child praised for achievements might form the belief, I am only valuable when I succeed. These patterns don't stay in childhood, they follow us into adulthood, shaping how we manage stress, handle relationships, and even parent our own kids. So, how do you start recognizing the patterns in your own inner childhood narrative? Here are three key areas to pay attention to. 1. Emotional reactions. Notice moments when your emotions feel especially intense, times when your reaction seems bigger than the situation. For example, do you feel personally rejected when someone disagrees with you? Do you feel unworthy if you're not constantly helping others? These moments often reveal a deeper belief formed in childhood. 2. Relationship dynamics. Patterns show up in the way we relate to others. So notice, do you avoid conflict at all cost? Do you overextend yourself to keep people happy? Do you struggle to trust others to be there for you? These behaviors often trace back to an early attachment experience. 3. Inner self-talk. Your ICN shows up in how you speak to yourself. Is your inner voice encouraging or critical? Do you believe you're only as good as your productivity? Do you struggle with self-compassion? Your internal dialogue is often a reflection of the messages you received growing up. And this is where the Enneagram comes in. Each Enneagram type represents a different way people learn to cope with early experiences. Your type can give you insight into how your ICN operates and where it might be influencing your life today. Let's look at a few examples. A type 1 might have an ICN that says, I need to be perfect to be loved. A type 2 might believe, I'm only valuable when I help others. And a type 9 might think, my needs don't matter as long as everyone else is happy. Now, as we think about our childhood experiences and how they shape our story, it's important to understand something called the stances within the Enneagram. Our stance is like the default way that we move through the world, how we get our needs met, how we respond to stress, and how we protect ourselves emotionally. In the Enneagram, there are 3 stances. The dependent stance, as in types 1s, 2s, and 6, the withdrawn stance, as in types 4, 5, and 9, and the assertive stance, as found in types 3, 7, and 8. Each stance holds a hidden story that started in childhood, so let's explore these a little more together. Let's review the dependent stance, as in types 1, 2, and 6. These types learned early on that others, authority figures, parents, and teachers, hold the key to security, love, or approval. Their childhood stories often sound like, if I just do the right thing, or if I just take care of others, or if I just stay prepared and loyal, everything will be okay. They often look outwardly for guidance before trusting their own voice. We can encourage our kids about how healing involves connecting to themselves and how they can trust others around them. We're going to encourage and coach them to use their voice, figure out what they need, and ask for help. The withdrawn stance is found in types 4s, 5s, and 9s. And these types learned early on that retreating inward into thought, imagination, or emotional landscapes was safer or more manageable than direct confrontation. So their inner story often sounds like, I'll figure it out on my own. I'll stay invisible to stay safe, or I need to understand my feelings before acting. They sometimes will pull back when they most need to connect. We want to invite ourselves and our children to stay present rather than retreating when things feel hard. The final stance is the assertive stance found in types 3s, 7s, and 8s. These types learned that moving forward or asserting themselves through achievement, reframing, or asserting control was the best way to get needs met or avoid vulnerability. Their story often sounds like, if I just succeed, stay positive, or stay strong and in charge, everything will be okay. They might struggle to slow down or admit softer needs. We want to gently remind our children that connection often asks us to pause, to listen inward, and to know that we're loved beyond our performance. Understanding your stance is like opening a window into your childhood story. It shows you the strategies you've learned to survive and succeed, and offers you the chance to choose a new way, a more wholehearted way. By exploring your Enneagram type, you can uncover the specific patterns that shape your reactions and then begin shifting them with awareness. This work isn't about blaming our past or our caregivers, but it's about gaining clarity and compassion for ourselves. Because in reality, kids don't learn just from what we say, they learn from what we model. And most of our lessons are going to be caught, not taught. If we want children to grow up feeling emotionally secure, We need to model what that looks like. If we want them to have self-compassion, we need to show them what self-compassion is in real time. And if you're interested in diving deeper into how we shape children's inner narratives, I talk about this in my book, The Wholehearted Child. It's a guide to helping kids develop emotional security through connection, and you can find it wherever books are sold. Let's put this into practice with a simple self-reflection exercise. Think back to a recent moment when you felt an intense emotional reaction. Now ask yourself, what triggered this reaction? What belief about myself came up in that moment? For example, am I not enough? Do I have to fix this? Where might this belief have come from in my past? Remember, this isn't about judgment, it's about being curious. The more we understand ourselves, the more we can shift our patterns. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope this episode gave you some clarity and insight into recognizing your ICN patterns. Next week, we'll take this even further by exploring attachment theory and its role in the ICN, how attachment styles shape our narratives, and what we can do to foster secure attachment in our own lives. Thanks for joining me today on Childhood and the Enneagram. If today's episode resonated with you, I'd love for you to subscribe, leave a review, or share it with someone who might need a little encouragement. To dive deeper into healing childhood stories through connection and the Enneagram, be sure to check out my book, The Wholehearted Child, and visit thewholeheartedchild.com. Until next time, remember, the stories we carry don't define us. We have the power to heal, to grow, and to impact the next generation.